Hello, hello, hello. This is so exciting for us. Before we jump in, I just want to say this is our second time having an in-person screening. It really means the world to us that you've all come out. So thank you.
Thank you. This is incredible.
I really want to thank you both for creating this film about Alvin Ailey, an icon of American modern dance. In the dance film canon, I think it is so important to have his story be part of that. So I thank you very much for that. And I also want to congratulate you on your smash opening success at Sundance. And that was earlier this year. And I want to know how the two of you came together and the origin of this film.
I will kick it off, I guess. The origin of the film was that Insignia Productions, which is a production company of the film, along with one of our executive producers, Judy Kinberg, approached me about, yes, big ups for Judy Kinberg. She's right there. Approached me to direct, which really, it is amazing to me that this kind of serendipitous moment happened in my life for the film to come to me. And Lauren and I met through that. Lauren is a producer at Insignia. So we were really brought together by this film.
Yes, and then the film was really very much a labor of love. It took quite a while for us to make it, but we were able to just bring in some great partners along the way. The Gilman Foundation, who I think is also here this evening, Ford Foundation, Mellon, XTR Impact Partners, Black Public Media, it was so fantastic, ITVS, and of course American Masters was an early supporter of this project, and the film will be seen broadcast on American Masters in early 2022. So it was really so many wonderful partnerships that led us here.
I'm sure you're asked this question a lot, but when was the first time you were able to see the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater perform?
So I saw the company perform when I was in college. The Black Student Union on campus got some tickets, and we were able to go. So I saw it actually at the Wang Center. And I had never seen the company perform before, and I wasn't somebody who, was well-versed in dance, so I really had no idea what to expect. And I just, it's not that I remember every dance that was performed that night, although most people tell these stories and revelations, sticks with you. But it's the feeling that I was left with, this kind of very visceral, just kind of, it was like everyone in the audience disappeared, and there I was watching these extraordinary dancers, it kind of embodies scenes of life. And I think the power for me was the kind of storytelling that was centered in the dances that I saw that night. I often say when I watched, I was seeing dance, but I felt I was also seen. And so that very much stuck with me, and I continue to be a fan of the company ever since. So.
And I grew up dancing, but I had the opportunity to see the Ailey Company when they were on tour in Little Gainesville, Florida, where I grew up. And yes, still thank you, Ailey Company, for touring in little cities like Gainesville, Florida, because it just blew my mind. And had just never really seen a performance like that, and it just felt so vibrant and alive, and was just, so energized by it.
You do a beautiful job of bringing the man we know as an icon. In the film, we see him as a human, as an artist, just searching for truth and movement, and you knit together the story of this visionary who is pioneering his work into the cultural mainstream. And where did you start with this portrait? Having had experience with seeing the company and then this project comes to you independently, where did you start in order to tell this story?
Oh boy. We actually started with filming the contemporary dance rehearsals. When we approached the Ailey Company with the idea of making a biography, one of the things that we knew was that we wanted to capture something of the company alive today, because it was clear that, Mr. Ailey's vision was so much broader than himself always, and a portrait of just his life alone, wouldn't really be true to him and what, all that he accomplished. And so we approached the company and they said, it's so weird that you're coming to us at this time because we've just commissioned Rennie Harris to do this new work, Lazarus, which is an extraordinary dance that everyone needs to see, that would be rooted in Mr. Ailey's life and time. So we started with that, and it was a little bit backwards in that sense, I guess, but we were with another artist kind of embarking on a journey to understand a man. And so in watching that was kind of our first window. And then really the archive, and specifically these audio cassettes of interviews that Mr. Ailey conducted in the last year of his life, which were just very kind of intimate in a way that wasn't, he wasn't sort of performing or pitching. He was really engaged in an act of remembering, and there was a kind of feeling that he was transporting himself back to the times that he was speaking of. So we were with him as a child as he discovered these extraordinary spaces that informed his dance works. We were with him as he discovers Catherine Dunham, who you'll see in the film. We were with him as he embarks on a life of dance. And so really, I think we've talked about it as like a story of becoming. And that's kind of where we set out. And then Lauren and the extraordinary team of people who help a director realize their films really dug deep, and I think the archival and material that's in the film that Lauren can talk about, we were able to build a world.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it many times, we don't think that we could have made this film 10 years ago. There have just been so many incredible archives that have really, I think, kind of uplifted the Black experience and really kind of understanding, how we engage with that, and how it's not kind of just the at a distance, So it's all these filmmakers who were maybe amateur filmmakers themselves, or people who created, these materials that now have been archived that we were able to pull from to really make the story what it is. And then just the incredible work at the Ailey Company as well, with all that they've done to preserve Mr. Ailey's archive in terms of all of his dance performances and photographs. And so, yeah, we were very lucky with the archive that we had to work with.
It's really incredible what you're able to access. And in your films, Jamila, you do use archival material in a very creative and unique way. And can you talk a little bit about the process for this film, and what maybe filled in some gaps that weren't there of his actual life?
Yeah, so I think, in these tapes, you really get a sense of an individual on a search, and a sense of his kind of aliveness to the world around him. He speaks in these extraordinarily poetic ways. And so our challenge was really to find imagery that supported that poetry, and that gave you a sense of like being in his body, and experiencing the world in the way that he might have, right? He doesn't come from a family that had a trove of, home movie footage documenting him as a little child. That was not accessible to him. But because of this rich archive of, sort of ordinary experiences of Black life that capture kind of intimate moments of, people gathered with family or dancing in their homes, or, journeying through, fields, just sort of visual imagery that feels like you're as I said, inside the body of the subject. And that really was what was animating this. We wanted a sense of closeness and connection, and also that thing of seeing. I mean, it was clear that as expressive and generous as Mr. Ailey was, he was the kind of person who would sit back and observe and really take in gesture and movement. And that was the other thing I think our extraordinary editor, Anuka Lirta, helped us unlock, was this idea of, as I hope you'll see, almost all of the archive is bodies in motion. And so we really wanted that to be part of the experience, so that we could suggest that this is a person who's going to ultimately find his way to this form.
I thought that was very lyrical, and the way that was all put together just moves that along, that all the footage is moving. You mentioned some poetry, and there's a quote in the film that you use of Ailey from one of these interviews. And he says that he loved the idea of people coming together to work. A choreographer starts with an empty space, with a body or two, creating something where there was nothing. Does this, as filmmakers, resonate with you, creating something that wasn't there before?
Certainly the terror of that empty canvas relates, it's the equivalent of maybe, bodies in a room is the trove of archival that we had to kind of sort through and go through and making sense of the story, the beauty of that. But I think that's a section of the film, and that quote resonates so much for Laura and I, in part because it's really about the work. And it's something that we hoped we could showcase in this, that the final performance is wonderful and great, and everyone should witness that, and it grows and evolves. But we wanted a film that could be about process and the dedication to the rehearsal room, in a way. And what is that kind of collective effort to bring something to life in that way?
Yeah, I think it really is about the bodies coming together to create something that resonates with me most, just kind of the group of people that you kind of work with, I think, to create something bigger than yourself. And that quote gave me chills last time we watched the movie, so I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. What inspired you to become filmmakers? Talking about this, like work and where you are now, but what started your journey?
Mine was really random. I wasn't somebody who knew from the age of 9 that I was going to make movies. I actually started at WGBH, the PBS station in Boston, in the archives, and so I worked with a lot of people in that form. Finding images for other filmmakers and having the opportunity to just work on projects that fed my mind, and I just loved that, and I think, I love archives and thinking about ways to kind of reuse them and repurpose them and change them and make them something fresh and new. So I think that still continues to inspire me. And I love that you get to live in somebody else's body for, whatever period of time. Be that, a historical figure or, even if you're making verite work, you're just with other people kind of going on a journey.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be an English professor for a while, and then I decided I didn't want to write about other people's work. I wanted to make my own work, and so that, led me to documentary, and I just love that it kind of uses all of the parts of my brain that I think I value most in terms of creativity, but problem solving, working together, collaboration with people, so it just does it for me.
I'm sure, I would guess that you come away with special moments from whatever films that you create. Can you tell us about something that was surprising or impactful in telling this story?
I think the kind of vulnerability of that one experiences in the artistic process and sort of seeing that mirrored back in this extraordinary figure was very inspiring. And I think a determination to love, who you are and where you come from and your roots is also, there's a kind of counter narrative in all of his work that I think is really inspiring. And at the time that he was choosing to celebrate who he was, that was in a kind of even greater effort. So the message of that, of self-love and self-acceptance, is what sort of was my greatest takeaway.
Yeah, no, that absolutely agree with that. I think too, there's something about seeing both Rennie Harris in the film and Mr. Ailey work, and kind of embracing the uncertainty of creating. I think for both of them, I realized, and how that's kind of a beautiful thing, and it really is so much about the process of creation and not being scared of that. I think it's an important one.
Yeah. So I have one last question for you guys. It's been a juggernaut since Sundance. You mentioned just a moment ago this will go to broadcast, but can you tell us a little bit about that experience from the labor of love, getting it finished and entering it into that festival, and then where we are tonight?
Sure, yes. It's been an amazing ride, and we really have Neon to thank for that. They came on as partners at Sundance, bought the film, and are going to be releasing it at over 200 screens nationwide on July 23rd. And so that's just been extraordinary. It's kind of the best that we could ever dream of. So we're just thrilled to be partners.
It was
with
always
them.
the dream. It's just
It was always
now
the
a
dream.
reality.
So, yeah, we're just so excited that this film will get to reach the audience that we always dreamt that it would.
And it will be in theaters July 23rd. It'll be playing at the Eleanor Bunham here. So you can see it tonight, but we hope that you will enjoy it and spread the word and see it again.
Please tell your friends.
Well, friends, you're all in for a treat. As Lisa mentioned at the top of the show, we're about to embark on what I think is a stunning portrait of an elusive visionary who founded one of the world's most renowned dance companies, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. I would like to thank again Jamila and Lauren for your time. And to you, my audience, I look forward to seeing my dance film fans out there at Dance on Camera 49, which opens on Friday the 16th and runs through the 18th, virtually and with in-screening live at the Walter Reed. For more information about that, you can check out dancefilms.org. I am so thrilled for you both. I can't wait to share this with everybody. Just a little technical note, the film will only play on your headsets once this conversation is over, so be sure to put those back on. Enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.